people don't like to have this conversation because they're scared God will be angry. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of manipulation. And no one is saying anything. It's almost as though we're scared to talk. My anger is in the past. My understanding now is different. I guess my brother dying was the universe's way of forcing me to take responsibility.
From the courtroom to the comedy stage, MCLively has redefined success by turning real-life struggles into hilarious, relatable skits. A trained lawyer who swapped legal briefs for laughter, is now one of Nigeria's most beloved comedians, actor, and skit maker. Today, we are diving into his journey from his faith to life lessons and what keeps him inspired.
I grew up pretty much like on a farm. From very young, I have always loved comedy. From the moment I started making the smallest money possible, I used to save to buy Night of 1,000 Laugh CDs. Do you see my nose? He used to call me Onimufere in secondary school.
What made you choose law?
I loved it. I came out with the second class upper in Obafemi Awolowo University. Me we open chamber when I finished uni. If you believe that when you're a kid, you're pure. And in that state, you question most of this indoctrination. What makes you feel bad to question it as an adult?
The Open Up Podcast Season 2 is brought to you by Credit Direct.
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hi to you too.
Where do you hear this Michael name that you're calling me now?
When I did research, and when I found out, I was like, his name is Michael. Are you fine with that?
I don't know, because people that used to call me Michael. God save you that you have married.
Interesting.
I'm not going to say more than that.
But for the sake of the show, Michael is fine.
Since we are doing opening up, why not?
It's okay. All right. So now, open up, we want to know you. Right? Want to know you, want to know what's behind the MCLively brand, who you are. And that takes us on a journey that did not start today. That started many, many years ago.
Many years ago.
Probably before
I was born?
Nah, well, that's too far back. We can start from childhood.
I can give you before I was born.
What happened before you were born?
It's the one that you ask for. Anything that you ask for,
what happened before you were born?
What happened before I was born? My father met my mother. Yeah.
Okay, and then you came.
To think that my father started telling me, my father told me, he sent me like 25 messages sometime 2 weeks ago. It's weird how parents, when you're younger, they parent you. Then when they become older and you become older, you now become their parents. It's such a weird phenomenon. So my dad texted me, I don't know what happened between him and his wife. That's how Baba just texted me, big message. You know all these long, so more messages, like 25. Telling me about how I should be careful about this marriage thing. That something, that even when he wanted to marry, he said that he didn't really want to marry. That it's not that everybody was just pushing him. That this one, anyways. The story of before I was born that I didn't know, I found out 2 weeks ago. So that's why I said, if you ask for before I was born, I'll tell you.
So no, I want to know more about that story now.
Thief. That
Wait,
is out for.
Is he good now? Is everything good?
Come on. When don't
people
parents
fight?
have issues?
I know what you mean, and it looks like, children are now sorting out those arguments.
And I'm not ready for that. Like, life is funny. So, I'm the second born.
Okay.
Now the first. God rest my brother. We lost him 2020. Yeah. Car accident. Died on the spot. Yeah, crazy. So imagine being a second born all your life, although he's just 1 year older than me. Yeah. But because he's just 1 year older than me, we grew up like together, same age group, same pair, all these things. So you will understand that most of the pressure of what are you going to do, what are you going to become, when are you going to marry, it falls on the firstborn. The secondborn is just there cruising, enjoying his life. I feel jammed 2 times. Do you know what it means to feel jammed 2 times? Back in the day, because that's like the greatest stigma that one can get. So I feel jammed twice. And it was until the second time that I even felt like, okay, I need to be serious in my life. So I've always lived a very laid-back life. I don't want anybody to stress me. Don't stress me. parents, keep your problem to yourself. Yeah, so I guess my brother dying was the universe's way of forcing me to take responsibility. So it's almost like I have that responsibility now to settle fights that I'm not interested in settling. Anyways, I digress. So that's the tiny bit of why my dad had to pour all of that for me. Because if not,
Because now you're the firstborn.
yeah, it's shocky there for the third now. I beg.
Okay, I think we'll put a pin on that
Yeah.
because that's a more recent occurrence.
Yeah, so we're going to go back.
Let's go back again.
All right.
But before we go back, I'm really sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
May so rest in peace. So I want to go back to MCLively, Michael. Is that what your parents used to call you? Or what?
Amanesi. My mom calls me
call you-
Amanesi.
Amanesi.
Yeah, so I'm from Edo State.
What does it mean?
It means you don't decide for God.
That's a really nice name.
It's a beautiful name. So what happened was my mom was supposed to go and have me in the village. So 2 weeks before my birth, so I'm told, she was supposed to travel. Then the night before she traveled, she had packed all of my bags and everything. And she started to labor. So she had plans to go to the village to have me. But I said, no, I'm not going to that village. And I decided to stay back. And they had me then. So that's why she called me Amanesi. You don't decide for God.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, hence the name.
Okay. I don't think I can call you Amanesi, so I'll stick to
My
Michael.
sister, you are going, you are going
I'm
deep.
crossing the line. So
So that's what my mother called me. I think that's what my dad used to call me for a while too. But then Michael Amanesi, yeah.
So who are you closer to?
I think my dad, because it's not like I'm not close to my mom, because me and my mom, we have very similar attributes. But my dad is softer. My mom is a bit, what's the word?
Strict?
The word strict is there. And I don't know another word that I can use. There's a word that's coming to my head, but I don't want to use it.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a bit closer to my dad. Or would I say I grew up being a bit closer to my dad because we used to do a lot of activities together. We used to farm together.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Farm?
I grew up pretty much like on a farm. Yeah,
Sorry,
so
are you joking?
I don't understand. Why they laugh now? Yeah, so I grew up in Lefe.
Wow.
Yes,
You know, because you're a comedian, everything sounds like a joke.
I'm serious. I grew up in Lefe.
Wow, you grew up on the farm.
Yes, so it
Tell us
wasn't
about
like
that.
a farm, but so it was junior staff quarters. That was even the second place we lived. The first place we lived in Asherifa, we had a farm not too far from the house that we used to go to farm from when I was really, really small. Yeah, from as long as I can remember, we used to go to the farm. So when I moved to junior staff quarters, we had the farm in our backyard. So this was our house. We had like a big farm where we planted all sorts of stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
So was that like a quieter childhood?
Extremely quiet. When I say extremely quiet, I mean extremely quiet. So it was staff quarters. It was always quiet. There was always light. I had the best of childhoods ever.
Oh.
Then I moved to Lagos. Sorry to advance. I just moved to Lagos in 2017 thereabout. And all the places I stayed in Lagos from 2017 till 2022, generator. I feel like the way I said that generator now.
It's like PTSD.
Bro, like it was terrible. But anyways, quiet childhood. Grew up on the farm. Used to farm a lot with dad. Did more activities with dad. So I think that's why I'm closer to my dad than my mom.
Okay.
But myself and my mom, no love lost or anything. We're still very close.
There was an article online where you said you were very stubborn as a child, and there was a time that you left the youngest sibling.
Yes.
And then she really did a beating on you, and you started asking yourself if she's your mother. So would you say that was because of the personality clashes now that you're an adult? Or was that like a genuine thought as a child?
It was a genuine thought. It was not just once. It was several times. Several. So let me just explore a certain dynamic. So my elder brother was 1 year older than me. By the way, these are things that was going on in my own head. You know how you be plotting? I was so stupid, God. You know how you just on your own be plotting stuff, you are doing characterization. So my brother is 1 year older than me. The one after me is 2 years younger. So if you remove me from the equation, there are 5 kids. If you remove me, there's 3-year gap between everybody except me. Does that make sense to you? So it feels like either they did not plan to have me. Do you understand?
Or they brought
or
you from
they brought
the
me
farm.
from somewhere. Do you get?
They saw you when they were harvesting
Yeah,
corn.
and I'm a very emotional person.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm a very emotional person. I had quite a temperament growing up. It's one of the things that I really had to work on. So I was always angry, always fighting everybody, and they were always punishing me. So I just felt like it was me against the world. And I felt like I was adopted. I actually sat down and asked that one day. But the story about how we left our baby brother, so this was the year 2000. Mom and dad had stepped out. They just had our last born, Joseph. He was 3-4 months old, thereabout. So mom and dad were not around. They left him in our care. But juvenile delinquents. We're not even juvenile then. I was 8, my other brother was 9. So we wanted to go and play football now outside the house. We now put Joseph on the bench and left him in charge of Francis. Francis is the one after me, the boy after me. So, of course, Francis too is young too. Francis wants to play. So Francis goes to play, leaves Joseph, and he falls down. Thankfully, nothing happened. But that time, we're still living in a face me, I face you. This was a 2-year gap between our farming period.
Okay.
So there was a war back in Lefe then. Modakeke, if you like a war. I'll track back to that story.
Okay.
So Francis leaves Joseph. He falls down, and the entire neighborhood is aware. But then we pick him up. Nothing happens to him. We take a shower. Everything goes on smoothly. Then in the night, Momsi comes. Of course, we're not supposed to report ourselves to Momsi now that this is what happened. So nobody said anything. I hope everything went well. We say yes. They went and they made eba for us. And we're about to guzzle the eba. The way we ate then was 3 of us. One bowl, one soup now. So 3 of us sat down, myself, Francis, and Emmanuel. Joseph and Mary used to eat separately. We sat down. I think I was on the first morsel when there was a knock on the door. So between leaving the eba and going to answer the door, and you know that once you are sitting like that in that position and 3 of you are seated, if you stand up,
You don't go.
that is, the eba has already reduced by 3 or 4 morsels. So nobody stood up. It was now Momsi that went to open the door. That was our beginning of our destruction. So Momsi opens the door and we're hearing the conversation that is going on. And the woman says, Yaima, Ekpele, Bawo Deni. Yoruba people can be very nosy, by the way. Bawo Deni, and when you do the Jabolo, Shetty, have you pressed his head? What's your business? Who asked you, auntie? Say, have you pressed his head? And my mom can be so to outsiders. Oh, outsider will not know that anything is wrong. If there is anything wrong, see, we can have cancer in our house. And our neighbor will not have any idea. My mom is like, oh, she has pressed it. Thank you. As they did my hand, he come begin the bitter. And you know they chop bitter soup. It was bitter. Guy, I'm like, what's going on? What are we going to do now? Momsi just looked at us. And she just entered the room. To eat or not to eat, we shall have found a way, struggled and finished eating. We're now waiting that when will this day of judgment come? Kurukere, nothing happened. The time went by, nothing happened. We had the mind to go and sleep. It's from sleep that they started beating us.
Wow.
Oh, they beat us. Me and my other brother. They beat us. They beat us. They beat us. I don't want to say more than that. But they beat us. They beat us to the extent that they even left marks on our body. Yeah, it was crazy.
So, was that one of the moments you felt this was not my mother?
I mean, probably. But, I mean, the marks they gave my other brother was even probably more than my own. So, there's no reason for me to think that it was only me. But me, they beat me on several occasions. I do things, go on, no worry. I scatter ground. I do things. Yeah, but it was just the idea in my head that it was me against the world that made me feel that many times. Yeah,
Okay.
but... Yeah,
I think a lot of Nigerians and Africans can relate to that. Especially, I don't know, maybe 35 upward. Because it feels like the new generation of people, they're not beating as much.
Yeah, I think that there wasn't a lot of exposure back then. And our parents are going through a lot. I mean, people keep saying, oh, Nigeria is bad. Those people were living in the military era.
They were facing life.
Those people went through a lot. So, I mean, I feel like they transferred aggression most of the time. It wasn't really us that was making them angry, but they transferred aggression, and it's okay. We forgive them for it.
Okay.
It was harder when you're growing older and the younger ones are not being dealt with the way you were dealt with, and you're now like, what's the meaning of this now? I'm not going to beat him. Yeah. Then one day I now decided to beat my brother. I entered problem again. You know, say I will not question whether I'm their son.
But you used to do this to me now.
Yes, you beat me. So why can't you beat them? Yeah, but times were changing and they couldn't do the same thing that they did back in the day.
I totally relate to that. Okay, so let's move past 8, 9, maybe 10, 11, I don't know, to secondary and of course university, studying the decision to study law.
Okay.
So before we move into you studying law in, I believe, OAU?
Obafemi Awolowo University.
Yes, that's right.
The greatest.
So before we move on to then, how was secondary school for you?
Secondary school. I mean, it was nice. There's another story there. There's stories in every part of my life, man. Isn't it just beautiful how you can look back and laugh at these things that weren't funny back in the day?
I agree.
That's the name of my stand-up show, by the way. Live and Laugh. Coming soon. I don't usually do advert. Nothing is gonna do me. So, secondary school was Moremi High School. Moremi High School was a public school. It was really close to my house. It wasn't the school I was supposed to go to. That's another reason why I felt I was adopted, by the way. So every other person in my family went to private school.
Oh,
Yeah,
just you.
back in the day, secondary school, private. I don't know about now, but you see that secondary school, private school,
Public school.
private school, public school. It was very different. So, like, it's fresh. Private school is fresh. Secondary school is Raz.
Yeah.
Proper Raz. And this one that I was again, Razest. Razest. Moremi High School. Goodness. There was a place in Moremi High School called Igbo Cocoa. So it was like a very big, large, like plantation of cocoa. There was like a huge cocoa farm. I think it was one of the greatest cocoa farms back in the day that, used to be a great exporter of cocoa as a nation. So I think that used to be one of our greatest cocoa because it's really big. Our school is really big, but then the cocoa plantation is now the one that is separating the school from town.
Oh, I see.
Do you understand? So people used to come from town. So in that Igbo Koko, things used to happen. In fact, every Friday they used to fight in that place.
Wow.
Yes, Igbo Koko. Every Friday there must be a fight. So that's how rash the school was. And I wasn't supposed to go. But what happened? What led to me going to the school? Me and my elder brother, it turned out that it was a year more than me in primary school. But when we were in primary 4, when I was in primary 4, my mom decided that I should go and take common entrance. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why because I was just really finding my feet in this particular school because I'd already changed school earlier. That school, I was there for like 3 years. Ideal was where my mom was teaching. So you see that primary 5 was when there was one babe that was in my eye that had been eyeing since primary 1. This year you're laughing.
What are you talking about?
I'm serious. You're here laughing. I don't understand. I remember her name there, Akeredolu Onyolua. That was her name. Like, I've been eyeing her. When we were in primary 1, she gave me Indomie. Like, since that day, I'm like, okay, me and her forever. Then when we were now in primary 4, my mom said I was going to write common entrance. I said, I'm not doing this common entrance stuff. Why? She said, the school fees in these places, although they won't explain to you then, child, they just say that they want you to do common entrance. I think it's later that I figured out that it was the old school fees P. So that's how I now go and pass the common entrance too. I don't know why I did that rubbish. So I passed the common entrance, primary 5 first term, like 1 month into first term, they just moved me to Moremi High School. I just entered there like this. First things first, I was 8th going to 9th.
Wow.
Yes. Every other person in that class was at least 11 or 12 years old. So first, I was a smallie in this school. So people had every opportunity to take advantage of me. So at first I felt lost. But I studied book that time, so I focused on books and everything. But there's only so much you can do in a school that if you are focused on the book and the school is not focused on the book, there's only so much you can do. So it was a very nice experience. I got bullied a few times.
And that was a nice experience.
Yes, I mean, I understand now that life experience is diverse. It's not meant to be on a straight line. Mm-hmm. It's meant to be jaga, 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 jaga. So I'm glad that I had that experience. First time I was really bullied for real, because I kept my cool because I understood that most people were older than me. Most people could beat me up. But as you continue to integrate yourself, you became more influential. So there's this, my friend, we became best friends afterwards, by the way. And we're best friends. We're okay friends prior. His name is Osazua. From Edo State as well. So that was one of the ways we bonded. We're in the same class, art class. And one day they were teaching us biology. Prior to that time, what led to the squabble? There was this girl named Peace, Uzoegu Peace. My friend liked her. Me, I was not in contention because she don't feel like me. I'm not her type. I was not in contention.
And you were in what class at this time?
SS1.
SS1, okay.
I didn't have a girlfriend. Don't worry, I had never had a girlfriend. So Uzoegu Peace liked my friend. They had an issue amongst between both of them. So he stopped talking to her. But the three of us were friends together. And you know how girls are. How girls will try to upset the other guy by talking to me. So she now started talking to me more. I was enjoying the attention now. I could just keep to myself. Oh. So I was enjoying the attention. She would just they play with me. You don't like me. Why they use me? God. So she would just play with me. They pain my friend. But he didn't say anything. Then there was one morning, I don't know whether he was upset, whether she had just come to see me that morning, but I noticed that he was a bit upset. So when class, the teacher was teaching, they were teaching us Amoeba on that day. And then my friend just drops one banter like that. A few people laughed, but not plenty people. So as he dropped it, it pained me. I was sitting in front, he was sitting on my back. It pained me. Immediately I just said, you will look like Amoeba. And they just drew Amoeba for us on the board. But you know what they say about Amoeba now?
Yes, no. Shapeless.
Do you know what it means to call someone Amoeba? He was so angry and people laughed. So assuming that people did not laugh, it would have been okay. But people laughed. He was angry. Like I could tell he was fuming even before the teacher left the class. You see, the moment that the teacher stepped out, he walked up to me, carried me on my neck like this and raised me up.
Wow.
Because he was 3 years older than me, much like I was a smallie and I see a couple and say I'm way back. I don't get sense. So he raised me up, Dad. Then people now came, say, please. He just looked at me and say, make her no worry. I thought he was joking. This nigga was waiting. He was waiting. We did classes for the first. We now entered lesson. After lesson hours, this bro dragged me out, took me to assembly ground, and he gave me the beating of my life. In presence of so many people, I've never been so embarrassed. I could not do anything. I was trying to, he just break me. It was insane.
Did you guys ever become friends again?
We're closest friends, few months after. Yes, now. Oh, he was my best friend in secondary school. Oh, even after secondary
I've never
school.
understood that about men. You guys are very quick to.
Life is not that deep.
So you already learned that as a secondary school.
Yeah. From way young, people used to insult me from out. Do you see my nose? They used to call me Onimufere in secondary school.
Sorry for laughing.
I have the nose of a trumpet.
I think I'm going to apologize a lot for this stuff.
It's called Onimufere. And you know that thing about nicknames that once you tell them, hey, don't call me that.
No.
It's Onimufere. What are you gonna do? Onimufere. That's like calling you Onimufere. Nothing I can do. So from a really young age, I've had those kind of encounters, and I'm glad that we became friends eventually because he's an amazing guy. Just had like a little bit of temperament issues, and of course I had temperament issues as well.
Are you still friends to date?
I mean, if he calls me up, I pick up my phone. He's one of the persons that, probably the only person that I stayed friends with after secondary school.
Oh.
Yeah, we had a very deep bond.
That's nice.
Yeah, my guy for life.
Okay, so moving on to university. So now that you've told me this backstory, somehow, I mean, you said that you used to know book, but it feels like you've already had this comedic thing going on for a really, really long time.
Oh, yes.
So I'm wondering, put this comedy on one side and this is like law on the other.
You know, back in the day, there was no such thing as comedy. The only thing that we had for comedy, although from very young, I have always loved comedy. From as young as I can remember, I think the first encounter that I really, really had, I was 7. We're doing this drama in church. We had to do Christmas drama now. So Joseph the Carpenter, they asked me to play Joseph the Carpenter. I didn't like that they asked me to play Joseph the Carpenter because I didn't really have anything to do that much. I just had like 2 or 3 lines. But the job is the job, so I accepted. So I accepted. And I kept thinking, how do I make a mark on this character? How do I make people...
7.
Yes, I was 7, I remember. It was primary school. I was in primary 3. I remember. It's one of my moments when I was really young that I remember. So I don't know. I just kept thinking, how can I make them remember me? And decided I was going to say it in a funny way. From as young as 7. And I did it successfully and people laughed. That feeling, I never forget it. Just talking about it now, I can almost still remember that feeling. Yeah, so I never forgot that feeling. So I've been always curious about comedy. So growing up in secondary school, wherever I was, I was always attracted to people who were funny. So it was almost as though I was soaking it up. Anytime I see someone who's cracking a joke, it's almost like I want to go and see what's the technique that guy is using, what's that thing that guy said that made them laugh like this. And I've been obsessed with the comedy since I was a little boy, to the extent that from the moment I started making the smallest money possible, I used to save to buy Night of 1,000 Laugh CDs.
Oh. Yes,
in my house, now me they buy the Night of 1,000 Laugh CDs. I had almost all the volumes because I just wanted to find out more. I wanted to learn more about it. But that wasn't, who do you want to tell that you want to become a comedian? They're going to be looking at you like a fool. I did, however, say it several times that I wanted to become an actor because I love being on TV. I said again that I wanted to be a newscaster. I said many things, but it was always connected to speaking. Yeah, so that has always been my interest for comedy.
Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and do you know what that means? It's the season of love and gifts. But finding the perfect gift can be difficult. What does he want? What does she need? And is your budget even ready? Worry less. Introducing our ultimate gift guide, a carefully curated list of the best Valentine's Day gift for him and her. This guide is your inspiration for gifts that will make their heart skip a bit without breaking the bank. Want to make it even easier? With Credit Direct Checkout, you can get everything for him or her today and pay for it later, because loving hard shouldn't mean spending hard. Download your free Valentine's Day gift guide now on www.creditdirect.ng/gift guide now. Love hard, pay soft, and let Credit Direct Checkout take care of the rest.
So what made you choose law?
That one. Remember I told you that I went to Oscro Secondary School. Oscro, this is my secondary school I mentioned now.
That's Moremi. Okay, that was
Moremi. Oscro, as in not this girl no
okay,
dey street.
Oscro. I'm not street too.
Oscro like streets. Oscro is like
Sorry.
Oscro like oh, you don't know Oscro. That is everything.
No, don't worry.
Oscro.
Was Oscro athletes up today?
Yeah,
Oscro.
yes, streets. So that gap made me not take books very seriously. Even though I was living in an area where people took education really seriously. So I failed my first two jams, sure. But on the third one, and on those first two jams, I didn't even pick law. I wanted to study English because I really didn't even have a sense of direction. I just wanted to do things because other people were doing it. Okay, we're writing jam. Oh, okay, let's do it. Oh, we're writing jam. Okay, let's do it. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet. Then 2008 January, I went to a motivational show in church. Father Kenneth put that together. I'll never forget Father Kenneth, by the way. Yeah, he put that together. And he brought this man to come and speak to us. It was the first encounter that I had with something like that. It was very different. It was very unique. It was very, very in the moment. Because we were asked to talk about our lives, what we liked, what kind of person we are. We did one chat thing where they found out whether we were sanguine, mellow, choleric. There's one. We had to do like this personality traits, and I was just blown away. I found out more about myself that day. So I found out I was choleric. Found out that you needed to know, you needed to love, do what you love. It was that day that I found out all of these things. But more importantly, my younger brother, 2 years younger than me, that time he was in SS2. When they called me out and said, because they had this thing where they said everybody should come and say what they plan to do in future. Omo, I know Sabi, I know if you talk anything, because what do I know that I want to do? Then my brother comes out and he's like, he wants to become a neurosurgeon. Then I ask him why. He said, because he's read the book Ben Carson, and according to some, so I sit down there, they look, see, this one way 2 years younger than me. They already get in life plan. Egbo, it's not time to take your life seriously. So I think that was one of the motivating moments of my life. But things like this, because that's a seed, it takes time to germinate. So it didn't really enter like that. So I tried to read that year in my mind. I was reading, but I still failed jam again. But I tried my best, but I still failed jam. So by the time we got to the third year, when I was trying to prepare for the third year, I decided I needed to go to a lesson and actually go and understand why I'm failing, and understand why I want to do what I want to do. So it was then I decided to pick law, because I want to talk for a living. So even if I can't do the acting, because I had the option for theater arts too. Yeah, but my dad works in campus, so I was always seeing all those theater arts people were doing. These guys don't sleep. These guys will be rehearsing morning till night. Then I'm like, no.
So that was when you went for the lesson?
Yes. So it was when I went for that lesson that I now realized that I needed to study something that would help me become a better speaker.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I decided to study law. Yeah.
And you went through with it. Was that?
Oh, I loved it.
You loved it?
Are you playing? So at every point in my life, at every point in time in my life, wherever I found myself, I've always applied myself. I loved it. I came out with the second class upper in Obafemi Awolowo University. Yeah, so I wasn't a small Leo. We opened chamber when I finished uni with my friend.
You opened the chamber?
Yes. Myself and my friend, Dr. Akinyode, we had a chamber. This was when I just moved into Lagos. Although that time I had already started picking up, so I knew I was going to be serious. However, he said that we should do it together. He'll be running it and stuff. Yeah, I don't know whatever became of that eventually, but yeah, we opened the chamber.
Did you ever have court appearances? I'm just really curious.
When I was serving, yes. It was one of the things that chased me away from
law?
Legal profession. That place is so boring. Goodness. The court sessions are so boring. They just go on saying, oh goodness me, and they have to follow all this order. If you are new at the bar, you have to talk last. So I have to be there and watch them say all that. And I can't come late. So you know how, if I'm going to talk last, then allow me to come late now, you understand? I have to be there from the beginning. This one will now be, they will just be saying what I don't understand.
So that was it.
I didn't like what I saw in legal practice, so to be honest.
And I'm guessing that's inspired you moving into
that was
comedy.
One of the nails in the coffin of my, because I had a serious dilemma. Imagine, you know what it is now, to study law for 6 years plus strike. 6 years in that, 5 years in OAU, 1 year in law school plus strike, plus we had a 1 year waiting period for law school, then plus 1 year NYSC, and you now decide that, okay, you want to be cracking jokes. Yeah, mom didn't take it lightly. Mom went to go and be meeting every time they can hurry that they should call her son, or she doesn't know what's happening. No. Even took me to father. They prayed for me.
On this decision to do comedy?
Yes, now they prayed that it should not work.
Wow. But thank God that the prayer failed.
Thank God
because
that the prayer failed.
Obviously, successful comedian on all the platforms.
Yeah.
And
However, my dad, on the other hand, my dad has always been supportive. Yeah, so my dad did salary work. This is one of the reasons why I'm sort of closer to my dad. My dad did salary work all his life. He just retired last year or 2 years ago. My dad has been singing into my ears since I was small. Don't do salary work. Oh. He has been singing it into my ears. So I always knew that I would gravitate away from it. So when I had that dilemma, in my mind, I was going to do law practice and comedy together. But you see, in that NYSC year, when I did that law practice and I saw that this road, I could most likely die for there, and I no go die happy. I just branched and I went back and I went to what I've always loved.
Okay, so you have been doing comedy for 7 years now.
Professionally for
yes. 7 years. We put a pin to a story earlier about your brother. So I know this happened 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
So you said he had a car accident. Like, what was he going somewhere?
Yeah, he was traveling from Kebbi to Sokoto. Yeah, he was a pharmacist.
Okay.
So I happened to migrate to Kebbi under some circumstances. That's where he had his medical, I think it was housemanship or something. Because other people wouldn't take him, and those guys were very nice. I mean, even my sister was living with him then. My sister was meant to be on that trip. That trip of him traveling out of state. My sister was meant to be with him, but she didn't go. So I was traveling. What happened, and died on the spot.
So, I mean, I don't even know who heard the news first, but
it was me.
You heard the news first. A
me.
bus driver called you, or was he in a personal car?
So it was in his personal car, but his friends were driving behind.
So what was that like, getting that news?
I was playing FIFA with my friend Babush. Then they called me. It was like a joke, because what are you talking about? What do you mean my brother is like... It was insane. So they told me, I didn't even finish the call. Just dropped my phone. Dropped the pad and I sat on the floor. One of the longest nights of my life.
Did you have to break the news to your parents? Was that you?
Was it me? I don't remember.
Okay. But did that change an outlook to your view of life? Did that change you as a person?
Completely, without a shred of doubt. Changed everything. It was almost as though you're sitting on a rug and the rug is pulled. Like, imagine you're sitting on a rug and the rug is just pulled from under you. So you're flat on the ground. And you're like, okay, my brother is dead. Wow. Changed my perspective of death. I used to see it as a very distant thing. I used to see it as something that will happen when we are all old. But I completely eradicated that perspective. Changed my perspective on life, my perspective on religion, my perspective on friendship, my perspective on forgiveness, everything. Yes, it's the worst thing that happened to me and the best thing that happened to me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I want to pick up on one of the things you said got changed. You said you changed your perspective on life, forgiveness. I'm assuming that makes you forgive easier.
Yes.
Yes. Then you also said religion. And from doing research, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I saw that you came from a Christian home. You have a Christian background. But in recent times, maybe a couple of months ago, from the internet, we're seeing the back and forth with, the church is this, the church is that, kind of, I don't want to use the word anger. Or maybe
the anger phase was
Is it anger?
Year. I'm not in the anger phase anymore.
Where are you?
No, I'm in the anger phase. I'm in the acceptance phase. I'll explain more. But the anger phase was brutal.
Angry at.
So the anger phase has always been there. I just want to quickly say, the video that I dropped, it was from the place of anger because that my character is an angry character.
Okay.
There's another video I dropped, of course, that one would not trend, where I spoke very in-depth analysis of my understanding of God, religion, this and that. You can check it on my new YouTube page, The Lively Experience. Make sure you subscribe as well.
I absolutely love it.
I'm not going to promote myself, okay? How will my future children eat? Anyway, so the anger phase was a bit long. It was for like 2 years after I lost my brother. But like I said, it has always been there. I grew up Catholic. Explored every length and breadth of the Catholic Church. I was a lay reader, I was an altar server, name it. I did almost everything. But most important for me, I loved going to church and listening to sermon. I loved the teachings of Jesus Christ. But it always felt like they didn't explain these teachings. It always felt like they were always connecting it, tying it to heaven. So I didn't connect. And I always had questions. For instance, by the way, how far are we willing to go on this topic?
As far as you want to go.
Okay, so what I'm going to do real quick while explaining about this anger, I want to say a lot of things that I didn't understand that I wanted to understand. I only got to understand a bit more when I stepped back, listened to a few people. I have a few spiritual teachers. I like to say my spiritual teachers are Jesus Christ, Sadhguru, Alan Watts, Eckhart Tolle. A few others are on that list. I listen to these people as often as I can. And they made me trace back my childlike version, where I used to ask questions about things about indoctrination, church, the Bible, etc. I remember very, very specifically one of the things that Alan Watts said. About the Bible verse where Jesus Christ said, for you to access the kingdom of heaven, you need to become like a child again. I always asked back in the day, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? They always said, oh, you have to be pure like a child. You have to be innocent. That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean I have to be pure like a child? I have to be innocent. Can any grown-up be pure like a child? Is it possible? It's not possible. Then how then can I be like a child? Because I want to access heaven. I want to go to heaven. Then I realized there is a sense of wonder with which a child sees the world that an adult doesn't. There is a way that children see the world. Adults literally have no capacity to see it. I wouldn't say no capacity, but they have a very low capacity because adults are focused on what will my children eat? How will I pay the school fees? How will I pay for light? How will I do this? How will I do that? When will the country be good? Are we going to Japan? How are we going to get a visa to Canada? How are we going to get our second card, our green card? There is a lot of nonsense in our heads as adults, such that our minds are constantly thinking. Constantly. It's like a wall clock, an analog wall clock that never stops. But just take a look at a child. Does that child have any worry? I mean, some children have worries. Even some children that are sick. Have you seen videos of children that have cancer? Have you seen videos of 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds that have cancer that just cannot understand why you feel sad for them? Because they have a different outlook to life. When you think back to when you were much younger, I mean, I grew up in a poor background. Despite the fact that we thought that, oh, we wish we had more, we wish we had more. You see, those moments that we had as kids, I would not change 1 second because we had a ball. I remember growing up watching corn grow. We used to plant corn every January, February. I mean, it was one of my favorite things to do. I remember watching it grow. You know how you water it and in the next 2 days, you see that
small bud.
Goodness. We had chickens. We used to rear chickens.
Yeah.
When they lay eggs, and the eggs, they cover the eggs, they stay for 7 days, and I see a chicken coming out of that egg. That sense of wonder, I think that children process it at a much higher level
Than adults.
So it brought me to my understanding that what if heaven was not a place that is not here? What if this is the heaven? Why not? Why is it not heaven? Why not? And you see this outlook. I now began looking at all the teachings differently.
So
all the teachings.
You were saying, I can't remember the name, but somebody said, is this a quote from someone or this was a personal realization?
It was a combination of both.
Combination of both?
Yeah.
So what would you say you're still a Christian?
I don't know.
You don't know. But you believe in God?
Not in the way that Christians do.
Not in the way that Christians do. Do you believe in Jesus Christ?
When you say that, what do you mean?
Do you believe he came to the earth? Do you believe he died for our sins?
Why is that more important than the life he lived?
No, it's not. You asked me what I mean. Do you believe in the life that he lived too? It's part of it.
I am more interested in the teachings of Jesus Christ than in what they said about his life.
They said about his life.
Yes, because
so
I don't know what is
exactly
accurate
is
and what
the
is
anger?
not.
Is the anger a lack of explanation? Or is the anger, because you said it happened after your brother...
The anger is... There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of manipulation. And no one is saying anything. It's almost as though we're scared to talk.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all scared to talk. We don't want to upset this person. We don't want to offend this. We don't want to offend that. In fact, most people don't like to have this conversation because they're scared God will be angry. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? That
everybody's entitled to what they think. But
it is funny though.
It's for me, if I were to answer, if you really want me to answer that, I would say it's their own reality or their own opinion of him. It might not be funny to them. It might be funny to you though.
It is funny. It is hilarious as fuck. I'll say why it's hilarious. And I said this in my last video. As kids, we ask questions. You can't tell me that as a kid you didn't ask questions.
Of course.
So, if you believe that when you're a kid you're pure, if you believe that when you're a kid you have almost as though you have the highest form of consciousness of being a human, or if you believe according to a Christian that you are brought from heaven, And in that state, you question most of this indoctrination. What makes you feel bad to question it as an adult?
Do you know what I feel? Was very, I don't even know if I should say it on this podcast. If you want
there goes the fear again.
No, not really because of that. It's because of how you take it.
All right. So
But
I understand that I said my anger
Yes.
is in the past. My understanding now is different.
Okay,
I'll
so-
get to that eventually.
What I just wanted to say
Go ahead.
before you go ahead is that I feel, because I'm a Christian as well, so it's important to actually say this, that questioning is actually the path to actually having a personal relationship with God. That's me. Because I feel like there's a stage of, my parents are Christian, so I'm Christian. There's a stage of questioning everything. There could even be a stage of disbelief.
I
And
think
then
that
there's a
stage
stage
of
of-
questioning never ends.
You think it does, so to you it doesn't end.
If that's the capacity to end, it will have ended before I came to life, before I came to being.
Okay.
It has no capacity of ending.
So you said you have passed the anger phase. So
Yeah.
what phase are you now?
The phase I am now is understanding why I grew up a Christian, because the universe never makes an error. The universe never makes a mistake. Even the way things are at the moment, the way Christianity is, the way other religions are, the way the world is, it is meant to be this exact way. So from my understanding of why I grew up where I grew up, why I grew up a Christian, why I grew up a Catholic, why I loved going to church so much. I think about the things that I really enjoyed in church. The hymns, the quiet moments, amongst others. And I think back to meditation, because I do a bit of meditation now, more than I used to do. There's something about meditating with people that's different from meditating by yourself. I think about what the practice of temples in Buddhism is, which what they do, by the way, is they go and they quiet their minds. It's almost as though you sit in one place. I don't have personal experience, so this is hearsay. I have to say it quickly. But it's almost as though you go to the temple, it is quiet. You sit and you experience God. That is my understanding of church now. That is my understanding of why church is what it is, or what church was meant to be.
Okay. To paraphrase, a quiet place.
Where we go to
Where you can
meditate
meditate
and
with God.
experience God.
So juxtaposing it to the Nigerian churches, which a lot are not quiet.
By the way, they told me not to go
Energetic.
to other churches.
Who told you that?
Oh, my people in the Catholic Church. You know how there's a
Okay.
division, there's a huge division. Catholics must not go to this, they must not go to that. Everything that they've told me not to do in my life.
So
by the
have
way,
you
I did
tried
it.
other
I know go
churches?
try MK.
And what was your
From
takeaway?
uni, I started, because I'm like, you can't tell me you can't tell me to do something and just expect me to buy it. So I started exploring other churches. It's not bad. There's a lot of talk. It's a bit different. There's not a lot of meditative moments, and that's why I always find myself going back to Catholic Church. So now I see it. I see that I always went back to church because I wanted to meditate more in church. There is a way that I feel a sense of calm when I'm in church.
So do you still go to church?
I haven't gone for 2 years
Why?
because I needed to understand why I am going.
Are
And it
you-
can't be because I don't want to go to hell.
Okay. So have you had an understanding, or you're still in the process?
I think I'm still in the process. I'm letting it come to me. A few times that I've said, oh, I'll go to church tomorrow, or I'll go to church tomorrow. I'm still letting it come to me. Little by little.
My last question, before we can move back to a general topic, is, have you had what you would describe as a God moment or a God encounter?
I always do.
You always do. What's that like?
I'm having one right now.
You're having one right now.
This is divine.
You feel this is divine?
I know.
You know this is divine. Interesting. Okay. That's what I wanted to ask.
And I think that that's the difference between what I believe now and what I used to believe. I used to look forward to divine. Now, I experience
divine. Sounds interesting and sounds
So it's just
intense.
a different outlook. It's not like, oh, I'm saying, oh, what you're doing is bad, what you're doing is terrible. No. It's just a different outlook.
So are we clearing the air that you do not have something, or you have something? Would I say you don't have something against church, or you have something against church? Nigerian churches.
So first, I want to say that one of the things that I've been trying to do recently is be at peace with all men. Does that mean that if I see something I'm not comfortable with, will I call it out? I absolutely would.
Okay.
Am I at peace with all men? Yes. Are there some people that I'm not very comfortable with them manipulating other people? Yes, but at the end of the day, people are allowing themselves to be manipulated willingly. This is none of my business. However,
wonderful.
I accept that the world needs to be diverse. It's so important for opinions to differ. If not, the world will come to an end and there will be no reason for us to be living here. Yeah, so it's important for us to have diverse opinions and also welcome diverse opinions. Not when someone says something about church, you now heard insults at him and in your mind you're being Christian, you're defending it.
Okay, yes, I do agree with that. You should actually be willing to listen.
Why aren't we willing to listen? Like,
yeah,
why aren't we willing to have the conversation? You start having a conversation and you see people
shine away.
Waiting happen.
It's okay. But thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
You know, I think I have more insights to that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the future. What is your visioned legacy of the brand MCLively? Why are you laughing?
Because the day before the Mike Tyson fight, someone asks Mike Tyson, a young girl, so what legacy do you want to leave for your children? Mike Tyson says, what the fuck does that mean? There's no such thing as legacy. You won't be there.
Do you feel that same way?
Yes. Interesting, because earlier in the year, January, I put that on my story. Do we think legacy is important? And Shank replies me and he's like, yeah, legacy, this, that. And I said, but you won't be there.
Does that matter? Is that not more of the reason why? I'm just asking.
So like I said, I have to track back again and say, number one, opinions, diversity, very important. My job while here is to experience life in its entirety. Whatever comes out of it that people think that it's a legacy, that's fine. So it's not for me to say what's my legacy, it's for other people. So don't to me.
Pardon your French plenty times.
Sorry about that.
But
it
okay.
It don't
a lot
mean
to you.
A lot. See how it doesn't hit like.
Yeah, like before. We'll have to be everywhere. Okay, this was quite an interesting conversation. I think I've been able to enter the mind of Michael a little more and understand more about your background and upbringing. Thank you so much for
My pleasure,
coming
my pleasure, my pleasure.
and for sharing and being very open. I hope that you did not feel judged at any point. What's that thing they are saying? We listen, we don't judge, you know?
There's one content I want to do. Yes, I'm going to be God.
You're going to be good.
See, just tell your Christian people that they have not started being angry. That they will be angry.
Wahaler. All right. On this note, remember as you're watching this that I like what he said. Everybody is allowed to have their opinions. Everybody's allowed to speak their truth and their versions of their reality. So it's a safe space, please. No trolling.
Listen and
No
don't
trolling.
judge.
We listen and we don't judge. That's how we're going to wrap it up on this episode of the Open Up Podcast. Please don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that MCLively said something on this podcast. I will see you very soon and keep watching. Thank you.
The Open Up Podcast Season 2 is brought to you by Credit Direct.